Welcome to the Combot Collective.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another prediction episode of the Combot Collective, bringing you everything you want to know about the 2021 Battlebots season. It's playoff time, of course. It's the second half of the round of 32 bracket, the right half, of course, and it is me, as always, your host, Sterling Brown, aka Corey 300th, former writer at Third Law Sports, current Battlebots subreddit moderator, and current host of King of Draft. Joined as always by my crew of correspondents here, MisterRedman PoryNog, and our brand new member, the person who attended Battlebots this year, Freezies, coming out of Florida. It's a good group here, and we have a good group of matches, as always, here in this second half of playoff fights. Matches that you'd expect to be playoff level. We have the love triangle of Ribbot versus Hydra versus Defender, which will be kicking off our episode here. I do want to apologize. I will be wearing a random shirt during that one. I thought it was going to be last week's matches, and then I got that mixed up. But I digress. Other good matches here. You know, we have Mad Catter, Black Dragon, Jackpot, Tombstone, Cobalt, Yeti, and of course, probably the big one this week that a lot of people have been talking about, Tantrum versus Gigabyte. We're going to be breaking down all these fights this week, so stay tuned right here. And if you're liking what you're seeing, please follow us on Facebook. Please follow us on Instagram. Please give us a like and subscribe. And let's not waste too much time. Let's get into some Battlebots predictions here once again at the Combot Collective. And here, as we start breaking down this round of 32 bracket, we're going to start off with our number 2 and number 31 position here, as we got 3 bots to talk about. This is something we broke up a little bit in depth here in our previous episode where we talked about the season overview, the news, and the bracket in general for the 2021 championship. Going over it here again, of course, we have Ribbot, the interesting number 2 seed, which I think it's a number 2 seed quality robot, but I don't know if they'd had the season good enough to be a number 2 seed. It's going to be a very hard bot to take off, though, here. But they have some interesting challengers here, of course. We have Defender fighting for one of those number 31 spots here. Defender, of course, 2-1, the only 2-1 robot that has to have a play-in fight. Definitely one of the weaker 2-1 schedules with victories over Retrograde and Riptide, that Retrograde fight especially. A bit of a snoozer, taking on Hydra, of course, probably the most exciting robot coming in here of the 3 1 and 2 robots that have play-in fights. Hydra, of course, won out of the arena victory against Gruff. A big flip against Glitch and their loss in round 3, but they took a lot of damage from vertical spinners with bots like Glitch and End Game in their matchups. So they set up 1 and 2, taking on Defender here. Winner faces Ribbot. Who do we think out of these 3 robots moves on to the top 16? I personally think it's going to be Hydra, and that's not just to be petty with Pory. I think Hydra. It's funny because I thought Hydra was going to be one of the robot to win it all at the start of this season. Now it feels like a bit of a monkey's paw thing because I don't know how I feel about a 1 and 2 robot making it all the way. But I think you guys brought up a really good point in the prior episode about the whole undercutter thing. We might see something similar to Valkyrie versus Part of My French or Bombshell versus Cobalt. This could be something like that, but I think Hydra is going to be a pretty good robot here to beat Ribbot. I think Ribbot's going to be a good base for it to throw around, especially if they do use the vertical spinner configuration. But I do know Hydra's not the most athletic bot. I know it's not the most agile. So I do have some concerns, but I think I do got Hydra moving on here. What are y'all's thoughts?
I think you might be on something with the monkey paw thing, because every time you predict a flipper to be really successful, they end up like doing horrible.
They end up losing their wheels. Something, yeah.
Oh, wow, I feel called out.
I mean, you got Bronco in 2019. You got Sub-Zero this year. You know,
I started standing Ripper in 2020, and the whole thing just didn't happen.
My man, you gotta go. He's already gotta eat Subway. Like, come on.
I know.
Next season, we're gonna send him to somewhere worse than Subway. We'll think of something.
Yeah.
What in the actual hell did I stay in the server where I gotta eat cheese? Oh God. Yeah, I think for me, Ribbot, please.
Yeah.
I kind of discussed this already, but
it's gonna.
I fear what would happen to the Battlebots community if Hydra beats Ribbot.
I want to see it, and I'm a moderator. I'm the one that has to take the pain.
You said if Whiplash beats Cobalt, by the way.
Whiplash beats Cobalt without the disc. Yeah, great. But yeah, I like having these civil discussions And man, if that happens, we're screwed.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
gonna
Mad
be a
Cat or
disaster.
Black Dragon, which we'll get to in a minute here. I think whoever wins that would stop them.
I think that's a good point.
You know, I don't think they're getting past that. I can't say as
think-
much about the Blimp Valkyrie Tombstone Jackpot quadrant or 8th or whatever.
Tombstone would wipe the floor with Hydra, if we're being honest.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I think it's one of those, just one of those counter situations where I don't think Tombstone is a better robot right now, but I absolutely think it could take Hydra just based off of. I just don't think Hydra would have a lot of leverage to flip them going right into that weapon. They
Flippers
would
always
probably they
have a lot
would
of trouble
probably
against
have
to
the
do it like Tombstone. Just
they would probably have the big wedge on, but I think even with that, Tombstone hits so hard and with so much contact. It's such a big contact point with that blade that I think Tombstone would take that. But in my opinion, I don't think either robots are getting that far.
Yeah, that's fair.
Tombstone feels like a round one to me. I just don't. I don't have a lot of faith in it right now, and I like Tombstone, but I think it's. I'm not saying it's it's dead or it's washed, but I think its glory days are behind it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, something's
I
definitely
disagree
gotta
with the
change.
comments. And the reason is because
Oh,
We're
no.
doing
I
this
built
again.
the main
Oh, no.
No,
There was a split second where I thought you were serious.
Yeah,
I
for a
was thinking
second I
about
was
it.
like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Start busting out some stuff, but yeah.
busting out the copy pasta, you know.
Yo,
But I
y'all
think
on the-
Ribbot's gonna win that easy. Ribbot will take out Defender, will take out Hydra, and then in the next round, they'll take out either Mad Cat or Black Dragon. Ribbot's going all the way, man. They're gonna win Giant Nut. It's gonna be frog season up in here. It's gonna be great.
Poor Defender.
Well-
The first time Defender got mentioned was you just casually bringing it up right there.
Yeah, it's just hard for me. Look, there are some robots that I think it could beat in here. I think it's actually more durable, up front than people would maybe give it credit for. But I just think with so many verts in the field, it struggled. And then against Hydra, that's a nightmare matchup, man. Because it has to get under. And unless Hydra hits the floor and dies, which I'm not saying that's out of the question, but I'm just saying generally, the window for Defender to win is so small. And on top of that, it just hasn't been. This is its first year, so I'm not here to say it's a bad robot or anything, but it just hasn't been that impressive. So I think we're getting Ribbot Hydra next in episode 12, and I think, if I'm correct, those are the main events. So
It's the main event, yeah. That's what I've heard.
so we'll be on the edge of our seat.
I'm gonna be on edge that whole episode.
Yeah.
Carrying on with our predictions here, this is a very exciting matchup here, the most even matchup between seeds here on the second half of the bracket. It is Mad Cat at the 15th seed against Black Dragon at the 18th seed. Both these robots, of course, 2-1, with Mad Cat taking a hard loss in the main event of episode 4 to SawBlaze, while Black Dragon took an opener loss in episode 6 to Rotator. A good back and forth fight that went to the judge's decision. But both these robots also picking up some impressive wins. We saw the crazy stuff Mad Cat was able to do to bots like Rampage and Yeti. Both knockouts there. Same with Black Dragon. Strong victories against bots like Claw Viper. Against robots like Ice Wave. Both these robots look pretty good in their victories. Kind of rough in their defeats. But robots you still have to count as contenders this year. Both captained by amazing people, amazing teams, proper drivers here. It's going to be a battle of two top-tier vertical spinners trying to get into that final spot here. What are y'all's thoughts on this one? It's going to be a really even fight here. Potentially the most even of the entire first round.
Yeah, I think with Mad Catter and Black Dragon, it's kind of like an even Steven match there. Both designs, in a way, have, I suppose, similarities, though I think Black Dragon will have the ground game of Mad Catter, considering it's just a 2-0 drive. It's going to be scraping the ground from the front. Probably want to give it to Mad Catter in terms of its weapon. I think it has the more powerful weapon, and I think if Mad Catter, if it's utilized as a lifter and lifts over Black Dragon, I think Black Dragon is in serious trouble. And really, when it comes to those most competitors, if you can just lift them over, you have the advantage over them. I mean, we saw it in P1 versus Hypershock, where Hypershock was completely annihilated by just being tipped over. And I think if Black Dragon was also tipped over, it may struggle up to defeat Mad Catter, really. So it's just a matter of, like, I suppose, who's going to get tipped over first. I don't really see Black Dragon doing it,
That's a good
but
point.
Black Dragon is a very durable machine. I think weren't they like on fire for like ages before, and then like was still okay.
Yeah, quarterfinals last year.
Yeah.
Against Ribbot.
They are a durable. They are a durable machine. So, yeah, I'm thinking. I want either way. I think it could work with either machine. But I want to go with Mad Catter really here. But I'm hoping for another Yeti versus Scorpios kind of battle with these ones, just a even slugfest. This is what the seeds are going to be like.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think this is an insanely even fight. I really like this matchup. And I think it's because both of these are super exciting bots, but it also has the potential to go 3 minutes, even though it's 2 vertical spinners, because Black Dragon is so durable, it's never been KO'd, and it also, I don't know if it has the KO power nowadays. So I feel like, both of these robots could be slinging hits for a full 3 minutes. I think this is insanely even. I could even see it going split. I would just barely give it to Mad Cat, because I feel like their one loss this year was against SawBlaze, which is easily a nut contender. And aside from that, they blasted Yeti. Rampage wasn't the most competitive opponent, but they hit them hard as hell in that too. And I think they will do enough damage and have more engagements with the weapon to squeeze out a judge's decision. But this is going to be a close fight, and this is going to be a really good fight.
Yeah, I mean, just with what Mad Catter has, just compared to its setups, they have the pontoon setup that has proven really good, has good wedginess. And Mad Catter has proven itself against vertical spinners this year, like I was saying, against bots like Yeti, against bots like Rampage. Whereas Black Dragon, they fought a horizontal spinner and a control bot. No vertical spinners yet so far in their runs. This will be their first one. Mad Catter has proven, in my opinion, I think. And they will have Crazy Cat. That's going to be a good intangible. I think they've proven themselves as just more versed for this matchup. And I hate to say that because I do have Black Dragon winning this, only because they are my King of Draft member. But I do have it going to the split decision. This is not going to be a knockout. There's no way. Black Dragon's never been knocked out, but they've also not really been the robots to knock others out either. They've had solid hits, but they're more of a chip it up and add them on kind of a hitter. And Mad Catter is as well, but we know that they can land some big strikes. We saw what they did do to Rampage and Yeti, of course. But I think ultimately Calvin Iba's driving style and just being more aggressive, more consistent, more steady here is what's going to take him in here, in my opinion at least, to get the win here.
Yeah,
we'll be close.
I'm pretty excited for this. This is probably one of the fights I'm most excited for in the whole round of 32. And that said, I'm going Mad Catter, but I'm not confident in that at all. How there's a confidence pool on Facebook. This is definitely gonna be my least confident pick out of the 9 fights for sure. But I am expecting a good fight though. I think it'll be a slugfest for sure, and I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, it's gonna be excellent. Hopefully, Black Dragon can do this because, like I said, if it's not a Black Dragon uppercut final, I'm not winning King of Draft. But I digress. I mean, you could say that I think Black Dragon might have the outright better wedgelets, but that doesn't always mean a good thing. We don't really see Mad Catter as one of those robots getting caught in the floor. I think it's gonna be a bit of a Mad Catter edge here, but oh, come on, Black Dragon, get this in for me. Moving on down the bracket here, it's a battle of 2 blue robots in a fight that Discovery is very kind enough to show us in the very opening montage of the season. Thanks for that, guys. We got the number 7 seed Blip, lucky number 7, taking on Valkyrie at the 26th seed. Of course, Valkyrie coming from Leanne Cushing and her team up in Massachusetts. It's a great undercutter. We've seen it put up some fantastic fights, especially back in 2020. Comes in with a 2-1 season this year. I mean, yeah, 2-1 season, but a very unimpressive season. Lost the P1 in a well-fought battle where they burnt out pretty badly, and then they got 2 freebie victories against, pardon my French, and Triple Crown pretty easily there. And of course, Blip, outside of your pure rookies like Glitch, probably the best new robot this season, coming in at 3-0. We've seen them do some fantastic stuff against Overhaul and Rusty. Not the most impressive challengers, but also had a really good opponent in Lockjaw where they took care of really easily. So both these robots coming off some fairly easy schedules with one really good opponent, but the latter here, Blip, looking a bit stronger here, coming in with 7th seed and 3-0. The robot who I personally think is going to win this match on a judge's decision. What are y'all's thoughts, though?
I think Blip's going to win that. Really, it's a interesting pick, but I don't know. I feel like Valkyrie, I don't think it has the ability to really, I suppose, get a good bite or good grip enough to rip into Blip, unless it manages to strike the back and hit its wheels. I think we've seen how well that Blip has managed to handle good machines before, and I think it's a very well driven machine. Even with its ability to gyro around, I think at this point they've ironed out all their bugs, and against Valkyrie, they definitely can do something. I think Valkyrie is definitely a threatening machine, but I don't think they have a proper area to bite onto Blip. And Valkyrie lost to P1, a robot that is thin, managed to get underneath it and lift him about. I think Blip can still definitely do something similar and probably flip him about. And if they just handle Valkyrie correctly, we could just see Valkyrie get tossed out the arena. It's very possible.
It is a good shape for Valkyrie, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is also something I just thought about here. This is a bit of a rematch here, of course. Aaron Hill fought Tantrum with Valkyrie in the opener of last season. Valkyrie got the better of that one. Aaron Hill probably looking for a bit of revenge. You bring a good point up, though, bringing up the shape of Blip here against Valkyrie. Blip is a very tanky robot. It took battery failures and some round 1 gremlins to take out Tantrum against Valkyrie last season. Blip, of course, also has these 2 sturdy forks on the front. They're going to take a lot of the impacts from Valkyrie. And yeah, I just think it's going to be able to be one of those robots that are going to be able to scoop up, eat the sparks and the impacts from Valkyrie's weaponry, and just sort of pop it all over the arena. Lockjaw ended up burning out and dying kind of quickly in that Blip fight, so we didn't get to see put to the test too much. This is going to be the first real test for Blip, I think, and it's going to really dictate what pace it's going to place here in the bracket if it does end up winning. If it gets pushed over back and forth in a real hard knock-up fight against Valkyrie here, I think we're going to see a Blip that a lot of people are going to pick to lose against Jackpot or Tombstone. But the opposite will happen here if Blip ends up dominating and continues showing its hype. It's a solid robot here. I definitely have it going through personally.
I've got Blip in this. I think they're a really great design. I think this is a really great matchup for them. Valkyrie it's kind of hard to judge it when you get these easy matchups. I don't want to take anything away from the robot, but at the same time, it's hard to gauge how good it is against those top tiers when they're just not fighting them. Yeah. So, the only thing I really have to go off of is that P1 fight, and I'm assuming they can iron out those issues when it comes to the catching on fire stuff. But just in terms of the matchup against that design, if they can't get a good bite quickly and get Blip knocked around and maybe mess with its drive or its weapon system, I think Blip is in a really good position to knock it around, get the weapon stopped, and get a lot of good flips in. I think this is another match that could be using the upper deck quite a bit. I don't know if the impacts will be enough to knock Valkyrie out, because again, I don't know how good of a job they've done fixing those issues that they had in the P1 fight, because they just haven't had much competition. But regardless, I think Blip takes this one, and again, I'm really excited to see if Blip is able to pull this off, to have them up against Jackpot or Tombstone, because I think either of those will be a great fight.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's I think Blip wins this. I think the worst thing you could give Valkyrie is a nice beefy wedge, as seen in the P1 fight, and Valkyrie hasn't really given me any reason to believe that they could win this. I mean, granted, their matchups this season were against like 2 of the easier robots in the field, but yeah, I got Blip on this for sure.
And also those the engineering on those bots and on those wedges for that Tantrum team is so underrated. Like those are some of the tankiest robots in the field.
It is underrated. They have it down to a science. Tank. Both those bots are just unkillable, damn near.
I mean, damn, you got a Johnson & Johnson sponsorship. You probably built that thing pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Moving on down the side of the bracket here, we got a big-time matchup here. It's the hometown bot against the deadliest bot. Jackpot, the 10th seed, Tombstone, the 23 seed. Both these robots, actually, you know what? One of these robots sitting at 2-1. Both these robots have 2 wins. Of course, Jackpot got the regular season bypass with 2 victories, 1 over Malice, 1 over Defender. Enough to give it the pass to go all the way through to the top 32 at the 10th seed, while Tombstone had a bit of a bumpy ride getting here. Of course, they lost disastrously in a big-time upset to kick off the season against Shredderator. Kind of bounced back in that really awkward, kind of controversial matchup against Mammoth that went to a double KO that Tombstone barely won. And then finished it off fairly strong in a interesting matchup against Free Shipping where they ended up getting outpushed a little bit by a one-wheeled robot. But they did end up making it through at a very similar seed to the one they had last year in the low 20s. Sitting at number 23 here, it's Tombstone versus Jackpot. And if you look here, we have a bit of an interesting picture here. This is a picture they just posted as a teaser for this fight. And oh my goodness. This might be a juicy one, boys. What do we think about this?
It's going to be an explosive match. I really, I think sparks are going to fly between these two machines. I mean, though I would say that Jackpot has it in the bag based on Tombstone's career in the qualifying period. Tombstone this year is clearly is not on top of its game. It's got a lot of faults, it's had a lot of bugs, and should have lost to Mammoth, but there we are. And I think against Jackpot, a machine that, from the way it looks, it looks durable. It looks like it can take things on. I think at this point they've ironed out all their bugs, and it looks like they've pulled out their heartbreaker for Tombstone, which I think will just say a lot here. I think in that when it comes down to it, they are just going to rip into and break apart Tombstone, and I think really. It needs to end quickly for Tombstone because that spinner is going to end up stopping unless Tombstone's finally got themselves together in the top 32. Which in that case, where was this in the main bracket? But there we are. I don't think that Tombstone this season has got it, and I think I suppose to cut back to the previous segment where they showed before facing Mammoth. I think the cracks are starting to show really with Tombstone.
Yeah, it's just been a bit iffy, you know. They completely reworked Tombstone this year to be a better bot, and I was buying the hype. Of course, I talked about that a good bit, you know, when we were doing those preseason chatter, talking about all the robots. You know, they made this brand new custom supermotor. They made Tombstone more compact. We were hoping all these changes were really going to do something. They brought 4 completely ready Tombstones. They were one of the most prepared teams there. And we just haven't seen it, you know. I don't think we've seen this blade go past a minute yet, have we? I might be wrong. Maybe that free shipping fight, but it's been
no,
really.
I don't think so. Actually, yeah, I think even against free shipping, it just kind of it broke before the minute.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. And you have the Malice fight that Jackpot just had. They've shown off that they have a great plow on this robot. You know, Malice is obviously no Tombstone by any means, but Malice's weapon held up that match, and Jackpot held up during that entire match as well.
That's my analysis for this. Is, you know, a lot of people are going to be going to Tombstone's weaknesses this season. I think that's valid, but I just really like Jackpot. I think, you know, the deadlift match was a little sketchy. There was things they needed to work out, but they looked so solid in the Malice fight. Their weapon was running. They ended up getting the knockout, and you know that's a similar type, similar bot type as Tombstone. The big horizontal spinner on the front. And they were able to neutralize it. So you know. I really think they can get it done here. Pull off. I don't even know if it's an upset anymore. I don't know if you'd call it that.
I don't think you can, especially with the seeding.
I don't know. But I've got Jackpot by knockout. I think they get it done, and I would love to see that round of 16 matchup. You know, got Blip advancing there as well, and
that would be
I think that would be a sick fight. I think that would be an awesome fight.
Oh my goodness. I would like to see Blip versus either of these robots. I want to see Tombstone fight Flipper.
Yeah.
But
that'd be cool.
Talking about Jackpot a little bit more here, I do want to say that, you know, just the only way I can really see Tombstone winning is if we have a Witch Doctor versus Tombstone scenario from their 2015 matchup where Witch Doctor's Stream Mech ended up, or lack thereof, ended up playing in, and they got stuck on their back. It looks like that Stream Mech in this picture, I'll pull it up here again, is kind of stuck up in the air, so I do worry about, you know, taking enough recoil. You get a lucky hit on Jackpot to get it up and over. That's the only way I can think of beating it. I don't know if the robot has any invertibility with its rear wheels. Maybe I'm wrong. Looks like it can get caught up doing the thing, but that would be my only worry. I didn't have my bracket Tombstone winning this. In fact, I have Tombstone going all the way to the top 8, which I don't know. I'm kind of second guessing now, but it's already written in pen. What are you gonna do? But yeah, I definitely think this might be Jackpot's win.
Yeah, I mean, I probably have Tombstone for this, to be honest. It's a risky bet because I feel like any other year, Tombstone probably wins this fight with ease. This year, it's a little trickier because Tombstone hasn't been 100% this year. But I don't know. I have a gut feeling that I feel like Tombstone is gonna edge it out. I'm not sure if Jackpot can take the hits from that terrifying bar. You know, I'm just thinking of the Rotator fight, but I'm gonna go Tombstone, but it's like I could be very wrong on this for sure. I feel like Jackpot, as long as it's not on its side, it could probably run upside down. Like those wheels touch the ground when it's on its back. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but
You would have to think.
I don't know
so.
Yeah,
what their modification was this season because we haven't seen it get on its back.
So I could be very wrong for sure, but that's just what it looks like from my perspective. But yeah, I'm gonna go Tombstone, I think, on this one.
Moving on here, we got a brisk one here, maybe even more open shut of a matchup than Hijinks versus SawBlaze on the left side of the bracket. We have, oh, you just couldn't have a worse matchup for Icewave. Just put Icewave against a giant brick with a lifter. What happens? We'll see. It's Icewave coming in at 2-1 against the 2-0 Whiplash. Of course, Whiplash, the third seed. Victories, convincing victories over Bloodsport, and then a really strong split decision victory over Scorpius. One I didn't even think should have been a split decision. Whiplash looked great there, just didn't have a weapon. Still no weapon here. We don't even know if they brought this damn thing to Battlebots this year. Well, we know. It was in a hero shot, but still. Where it at, Matthew? Come on, we want to see this thing. Taking on Icewave, of course, who's had a very up and down season for the Legend team here. We saw them lose against Black Dragon in round 1 pretty easily. Picked up a much-needed victory against Defender where they were able to knock him out, show that we can still have some of that old Icewave back. And had a bit of a lucky victory in the very last fight of the season against Fusion, of course.
Defender.
Defender? Did I say Defender?
Yeah.
He's a Defender.
Did I say Defender? I meant...
Deadlift.
I think I've done that like 3 times this season. I think I have.
Come on, man. The future runner-up.
2 control robots that start with DE, man. What do you want me to do? You gotta tell these guys to rename their bots. I can't believe it. Oh, it's all right. It's all good. But yeah, Whiplash, 3rd seed. Icewave, 30th seed. This is pretty open shut, though. What are y'all's thoughts on this?
Whiplash next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it sucks because I think Icewave actually as a bot type is like they have a chance because I think Bloodsport showed that you can beat Whiplash with a horizontal spinner if you drive it perfect. They had it driven pretty well for the first 2 minutes of that fight. If you're just chipping away at the wedge, you could probably win a decision. The problem is that Icewave is just not. It hasn't been terribly reliable this year. I mean, that formula requires you to have the weapon up and spinning the whole time, and they've had it go down in 2 of their 3 fights, even in that win against Fusion. And on top of that, Bloodsport, I know it got knocked out getting tipped over, but it does at least have the self-rider, and it's got the chance to flip back over. Icewave doesn't really have that. I think it can right itself, but it's not a guarantee.
Oh, I don't know if it can.
Yeah, I don't know if it can. I think it might be able to gyro itself, but the bottom line is that it's just not in good form. I think it might actually be. It didn't have the weakest schedule, but it might just be the weakest 2-1 right now, which sucks because I like Icewave a lot. It's the reason why BattleBots is in its current form today. But Whiplash is might just be the hardest matchup you can give it. So I think Whiplash tips it over, and GG go next.
Yeah, it really is a shame that Icewave, just to go back to the 2015 playoffs, everyone was really talking about Icewave, even more so than Tombstone. It was the hot new robot, even though it wasn't really new, but new to the casual fans' eyes. It was the hot new toy, and now it's 30th seed in a bracket. Everyone is looking at it as like almost a buy round for Whiplash. It's a bit of a shame, but it's just the matchup of designs, the matchup of robots, matchup of eras. It just doesn't look good for Icewave. Even with the repaired component, you were bringing up that component that busted it in the Fusion fight. There's just a lot of things going on with that internal combustion system to go wrong, and taking on a plow of a bot like Whiplash, there's only so much you can do. And now we move on to Whiplash's potential opponent here. I guess I shouldn't be so foregone conclusion with it. The Whiplash or Ice Wave's potential opponent here. We got another big-time slugfest between big names, powerful robots here. This is another matchup that I would put up there with Tantrum and Gigabyte, Jackpot, and Tombstone's fights. I just can't wait to see. This is Combot versus Yeti, 14th seed versus 19th seed. We've seen Yeti this year. It fought hard in that loss against Mad Catter. Didn't get the win there though, but made it up big time in the matchup against Pain Train where they absolutely destroyed him. Put up arguably the best fight of the entire season, one of the best fights in the reboot period against Scorpius in a fantastic main event. Then on the other end, we have Combot, the absolute juggernaut of the regular season, absolutely destroying Gruff, absolutely destroying Ghost Raptor. Amazing things, you know. All the stuff that they did against those robots put what happened against Fusion, like, it's completely in the past now. I mean, of course, you got to factor it in a little bit, but, you know, now they have the wedgelets and not that goofy little thing. I get what they were doing, but it just wasn't it. They've looked really good here so far. I think they're probably going to win this match. It's going to be an absolute banger slugfest, though. What are y'all's thoughts on Yeti versus Combot?
I feel sorry for Yeti. Combot is a hefty machine with a weapon that can cleave through the toughest of robots, cleans through the toughest of stains, leaves robots brand spanking new in separate pieces. Combot is a very difficult machine, I think, to beat, especially with its proper wedges now. And I don't know if Yeti will have the reach with its drum to do anything notable against Combot. I think it's going to be one of those, like, I think it's just going to be like Yeti versus Mad Catter all over again, where I don't think it's going to do much, and Combot is going to tear into it. He's a very scary vertical spinner, Combot, but I could easily be surprised Yeti could out-control Combot, tip it over. I don't think Combot has really the ability to self-right properly. I think it's one of those machines that's dedicated to just tearing you apart before it can be flipped over. But it could. I don't know. And Yeti could end up like flipping it over and that'd be it. But yeah, I think that it's going to be a Combot victory. But if Yeti won, I wouldn't be opposed to it. It did fantastically in its main event. So, you know, I hope if it goes further, I'll be happy.
I'm molding. Thank you.
Oh, jeez.
I love Yeti. I love Yeti so much. It's one of my favorite robots. I was so happy to see them back this year. But man, this is just not a favorable matchup for them. I mean, I guess they could do it, but I'll be shocked if Yeti wins this fight.
So much ground clearance.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's the ground game isn't really yet. Yeah, it has the forks, but like, you saw how that worked with them with Mad Catter. Like, especially, you know, just with Matt Maxim driving. Like, Yeti's gonna get ripped to shreds. That'll be a cool spectacle to see. But man, pain.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty bloody. Tell you what, I wish we got this match in 2019. I know I've been saying it a lot this year. While this Yeti, the cool robot style Yeti, is great. It's just not the 2019 Yeti. It's not the monster truck, Conby Central looking robot that's just an absolute tank. I would have loved to see that version of Yeti go against that 2019 version of Combot, even though that version of Combot got stuck and everything. That would have been an excellent fight. But this will still be pretty thrilling. Having Greg Gibson against Matt Maxim. That's a dream driver matchup right there. Both these robots can pack a punch. But yeah, you know, we're likely going to see wheels go flying off. We're going to see forks get bent upwards if they use the forks. If they try to use that plow setup for some reason, we're going to see those plowlets go flying as well. Maybe even a panel on Yeti. This might be very bloody. We'll see how forgiving Matt Maxim wants to be. As long as Matt Maxim doesn't get caught in anything goofy, nothing like that, let it through. Because I really want to see. I want to see Combot go all the way, man. Oh man,
I'm buying into the Combot hype. I think
I'm starting to.
I think this is just a good matchup for them. I think, you know, just seeing Yeti against Mad Catter, I think Yeti's a good machine, and I love that Scorpios fight. But I just think against the four-wheel drive vert, it doesn't really have the leverage to be able to control the fight, get the engagements, and bounce other robots around. It's possible against Combot, but it's a really small window, especially with how much damage that weapon is doing. So I think Combot takes this, and then, you know, the winner is almost certainly fighting Whiplash, which
Go
You know, if Yeti
Cobalt.
does manage to pull off, I'd be really excited for that. But
Yeah, it's
that
a
also that
rematch. I just thought about that. Yeah.
That Cobalt Whiplash matchup is also really enticing, and if they're able to pull that off, I think that will really solidify them as a nut contender instead of just a robot who's beating up on lower tiers.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if we get Combot versus Whiplash, it'd be like a nice roast beef sandwich, and
Yeah,
Mm.
I'm not
should be
worried.
good.
I'm not worried. I'm
I
sticking
got
with it.
Combot winning that.
Yeah,
But
I'm sticking with Cobalt. I'm not having, Court did his Subway video for the for Sub-Zero's fantastic season, and I said that
Mhm.
if
he didn't do the Subway video yet.
oh, he will.
My next check, I'm buying
if-
it.
Better.
If Whiplash beats Cobalt and it does not use the disc, I am getting a nice plain roast beef sandwich meal from Arby's. So
I eat
gotta
that
join in on the
normally.
fun. Gotta
Yeah.
join in on the fun. And that's just showing how confident I am in Cobalt right now.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
I mean,
so
I
if it uses the
think I
spinner, no
definitely-
sandwich. Sorry, Pory.
No, he's got to win with it. He's got to win
Okay.
without it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You gotta win. Which that'll be fun. I mean, I don't have any fast food bets right now. The only bet I had, I won with the bubbly. But by the way, earlier you made a slip up. You said Greg Monson versus Matt Maxim. I mean, we
know.
did technically get that
We
in
did.
that season with that
Insu
Sub-Zero
versus
one,
Stinger.
the exhibition. Mm-hmm.
This happened. Fun
Just
fact.
thought I'd throw that just because I love that fight exists. I just thought I'd.
It's
throw
so
that in
wonderful.
I heard that
Yeah.
Chinchilla is actually at this season too.
Blues are right now.
It's been in every season. They keep it in the closet.
He's
That's
gonna
a-
sub,
They keep it in
He's
the same
he's
closet
gonna
Ginsu's in.
sub in for
Keep
Whiplash.
teasing it. They got like speaking of bets, I made a bet with a robot that's not even in the main season. I don't know where he is. He went out to Subway probably.
There is a
What's
Subway
doing?
in the food court by the venue. So
Oh no!
Exactly, yeah,
They're
the double
poisoning
check-
minds.
The double
Oh.
Jeopardy team went out before saying, okay, who's going to enter the main bracket? They went out for Subway. They came back, they missed out. So we'll just stick you in bounties.
yeah.
Just disqualified for
Can't
having
believe it.
Subway. They need like a food. They need a safety team to go through the pits every round. Like, oh, you ate Subway? What the fuck? It's COVID season.
Don't
Subway's
go
not even
to
that bad,
Subway
man.
before you have to fight. Otherwise, you get food poisoning like the glitch team.
Look, I wasn't
Pretty-
eating tuna to begin with, but I'm certainly not eating Subway tuna.
I have
Bertie,
to.
you gotta let
Luckily.
Civ. You gotta let Civ join for the Subway video.
He better
Oh,
fly
God.
over here. He better fly over here. That's the only way.
He lost a bet too though. He has to eat Subway with you. That was part of our bet.
I never agreed to that bet.
Yeah, but I agreed to it.
Man, you're
Just
a
do it on
favela.
camera. It'll be like a nice little dinner date.
Yeah.
Here, before we get caught up talking about too much food here. Oh God, that's horrible. I will say this. I think Freeze agreed to this, man. If Cobalt wins Battlebots, I don't know if it's gonna be at Battlebots 22. If it'll be in Florida, it'll be in Texas. But whenever I see Freeze, we're going out to eat some tea and fucking crumpets or some fish and chips. We're celebrating this Cobalt win.
I don't know. Oh yeah, no. We're doing a nice British breakfast in America.
Can I join us?
Yeah.
Oh, hell
you gotta
yeah.
come through. We'll have a
Alright.
we'll have a whole buffet.
Let's get it
I'm in.
done.
A whole brunch.
It would be so satisfying to see Cobalt win this way. Sorry to all the Brits, but after the amount of smack I've heard for the last couple seasons they've been in, it would be so funny to see them win while captained by an American team.
Oh God.
And
That's
no
all
shade,
right
I'm
this
just
year.
Well,
Oh,
I
no,
think
no.
I think they built a fantastic bot, and I think Matt Maxim driving this thing right now is I think it wins it.
They're doing, yeah,
Rest in peace.
they're doing really well with it. And it's just a shame that the Cobalt team can't actually.
Yeah,
like,
it
be
really
there
is a
to
shame
sing
that they
along.
can't be there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're really, the engineering on that robot is fantastic, and it would be nice to have them there because pit work is such an important part of BattleBots.
Mhm.
But I think RDC have also just, if you had to give your robot to a team, I think that's got to be one of the best backup teams you could have. And they've
Who knows
almost
spinner's
assembled
better?
a little, yeah, they've almost assembled a little impromptu dream team.
No kidding. It's Plum Crazy, RDC, Team Carbide. I mean, Team
Yeah.
Carbide's still been hands-on with it. From what I've heard, I
Yeah,
think
no, they
Dave
have.
Moltz has been remote
Absolutely.
with every fight. Been like giving his opinions, strategy, and stuff. So he's still in the team in a way. So it's just Combot's just been a great story to follow this year, and I really hope this is their year because now they're finally getting some fan support and everything. It's just nice to see as we now move on to the final quadrant up the right side of the bracket. And now it's the last quarter of the right side of the bracket here. We got the 6th seed against the 27th seed. It is Rotator, probably the most impressive horizontal spinner we've seen this year, against Captain Shredder, one of the real underdog Cinderella stories we've seen this year. Looking through these schedules, of course, Rotator won the 2-0 bypasses. They got an incredibly good victory against Kraken and a really good victory against Black Dragon. 2 matches where they left big-time damage, gashes all over the robot. I believe both went to the judge's decision, but it was enough to make Rotator a TCC 10 fixture throughout the whole year. It just looked really good the entire year in general. Victor Soto and his Revolution crew are a fantastic group of builders. Great program there. And, of course, Team Logicom, the OGs with Captain Shredderator. Of course, the full-body spinner got the big-time victory. Big upset at the start of the season with Tombstone. We talked about that earlier. Picked up a really weird one against Yager. It was a respectable fight. It was a YouTube fight. It was a weird one. Shredderator was spinning good half the time. Not really. And then their loss, of course, against Gigabyte in the Blade Showdown. That was a bit of a blue baller right there. But what are you going to do? Shredderator just sort of died, did the Shredderator thing. Hopefully we don't see that in this matchup because, of course, as a lot of people remember, Captain Shredderator versus Rotator in the Bronco bracket of the bounty tournaments last year. That was probably the best bounty fight of the entire bounty series. One of the best fights of the entire season. I mean, oh my goodness. Rotator versus Captain Shredder. It was just up there with Valkyrie and Rotator. Rotator was just amazing that year. But talking about this fight, it's Rotator versus Captain Shredderator 2. What are y'all's thoughts on this one?
Sorry, Shredderator. It's going to be Rotator. I think it's pretty open. Rotator is one of the best, if not probably the better, one of the best probably performing horizontal, I think, so far in this competition. Aside from Bloodsport, they are doing tremendously well. They are modular. They're incredibly durable, as opposed to Captain Shredderator, who still I'd argue has inconsistencies with their durability. I'm glad they're here, in the top 32. I don't know if they've been here before. I'm glad that they're here now, but I don't think they get past this round unless they manage to pull out something incredible against Rotator, which would probably cement, Captain Shredderator as, up there amongst the greats, really. But it just seems unlikely.
Yeah, it's just a battle between, it really is. You got Rotator, who has historically been probably the most reliable robot of the past 3 seasons, taking on Shredderator, who has been very much the opposite. I mean, that Shredder-Rotator fight was literally Captain Shredderator's most reliable performance. It's the performance people remember it for. And even in that fight, they lost their spinner in the final minute. I don't know, Shredder has gone a 3-minute fight and reboot BattleBots with their spinner going the whole way. I genuinely don't think it's happened.
I think what you just pointed out is actually the issue with this fight for them is that if Shredder lasts 3 minutes, they might also need to break Rotator, and if Rotator breaks, then Shredderator also needs to last 3 minutes. I mean, it's one of the least reliable robots going up against one of the most. Rotator has been such a tank over the years, and now especially with the damage that it looks like their blade is doing in that Black Dragon fight, especially. I hate that they're in this quadrant because they're up with some of my other nut picks like Combot, but Rotator is definitely a sleeper this season. I don't even know if it's a sleeper at this point, but they're a favorite for sure. They're a top 10 robot easily, and I think this is a wash.
Yeah. Rotator is the best robot in the field that isn't a frog, in my opinion. I'm gonna say it honestly. Rotator is probably the best spot in the field, realistically. If Ribbot somehow magically doesn't win the nut, I think Rotator's gonna win it.
They're up there. They have everything you need to beat the meta. They've got the big damaging weapon. They're durable. They can last 3 minutes, and those new forks they have added gives them ground clearance that I think they were lacking in the last couple years. So I think I think if you ran it back with End Game this year, who knows what could happen. I think they've got the potential to beat some Verts. Yeah, they're up there for sure. They're a top 5 robot for me.
Yeah, but they're definitely beating Shred, I feel. I mean, Shred needs a miracle to win it. I love Shredderator. It's nothing against them. It's just that they're facing one of the top robots. In the
They need
field,
so many
in
things
my
to go
opinion.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, but hey, Shredderers made it to the playoffs yet again. They finally did it. They got a little bit of that Shredemption that we've been talking about. So hey, here they are. They made the steps they needed to make. You know, this is their first time that they've been in a big playoff picture since TIFR back in 2018, where they went 4th place, I believe. So, and then after the year after that, they couldn't even copy that success. So it really did feel like a one-off.
I mean, technically, Shredderator Tiger Claw is a co-champion of
Technically, Shredderator Tiger Claw did win King of Bots 2. You're right. It won King of Bots 2 at 0-4, but it won King of Bots 2.
Hey, it was still on the team. They didn't kick it off the team, so I mean, it's team one.
I love that. I love that. I have to add that address when I update the championship list. I had that. Oh yeah, this blue wedge bot also.
I watched that show. And it wasn't just because of the language barrier. I had no idea what was going on.
It's very hard.
It's a lot. It took me. I've watched all. Every
I'm
season.
always up for more robot combat, but man, that was a lot.
That's a show I don't blame people for skipping to the fights. There's a lot of. I got what was going on by that King of Bots 2 season, but yeah, it's a lot. And speaking of King of Bots, what a transition this is. 2 robots that are probably very synonymous with King of Bots, especially the King of Bots 2 season. Let's talk about Tantrum and Gigabyte here, the 11th seed against the 22nd seed. Honestly, really surprised to see neither of these robots break top 10 in seeding, especially for Tantrum. But that's where we're sitting right now. Of course, Tantrum also got a 2-0 bypass judge's decision victory over Malice, where they lost their weapon at the end, but pretty much dominated the fight the whole way. Knocked out another top 32 robot in Lucky. In another fight where they kind of stepped back for a little bit but got their bearings going, ended up getting a knockout win there. While for Gigabyte, 2-1 season, a bit of an up and down season for them. You know, they had a very rough loss in the second fight of the season against Uppercut that put them at 0-1. Barely got barely any offense in there. Showed off that the corner corrals were a real deal, but they bounced back. They picked up a really solid win against Smee. Very unique matchup there, and then. And they got the victory against Shredderator as well, and what ended up being a bit of a wonky knockout. So Gigabyte sits at 2-1, Tantrum sits at 2-0. Both these robots have a chance to go all the way to the finals if they get their victory here. We're going to have to see how this goes down, but this is going to be absolutely bombastic. What are y'all's thoughts on this matchup here?
I love this fight. I think this is such a unique matchup, even though it's vertical spinner versus the the horizontal, the shell spinner. I really like the specifics of both of these robots. Gigabyte hits so hard. I mean, their losses, their knockout losses over the last couple of years have been Uppercut, Copperhead. Those are 2 of the hardest hitting robots in the field. And Tantrum is one of the most durable, if not the most durable, but it doesn't really have the knockout power. It's tough to say. I mean, they knocked out Lucky, but I guess that isn't the highest standard for durability, and the weapon it's not a big heavy spinner like a lot of these other ones. So I think this makes it a pretty unique matchup where if Gigabyte can get up to that weapon and hit it, I think they have a chance to break it, and I think that could turn this into a really interesting fight where Tantrum is a lot of people's picks for a semi-final final appearance this year, but I don't think it's cut and dry, and I would pick Tantrum in this. I think just their reliability has to be enough. But
more likely to get control and damage points, control and aggression points. Yeah,
definitely. But I'm excited for the fight for sure.
Yeah, it's I mean, shoot, I've been back and forth in this fight. I have Tantrum going all the way to the finals. I almost had him winning the whole thing in my bracket. But with Gigabyte, you bring up a good point there. With such a small weapon, what are you really going to do to stop Gigabyte? Gigabyte bounces around, maybe, but it's a small robot, and Gigabyte does not lose its full body spinner power like that anymore. They were past that hurdle. It's arguably one of the most reliable robots in the field nowadays. As crazy as it is to say about a full body spinner, but they do have that. It's going to be. If Tantrum's going to win this, it's going to come down to 2 intangibles. They got to keep that weapon going for the whole 3 minutes, at least 2 minutes of the fight. You got to get punches in. You got to pop Gigabyte up and down at least a little bit, and you got to take advantage of that upper deck area. You got to take advantage of the corner corrals. You got to try to bully Gigabyte into that area, especially to the corner where your pulverizer is. You can get some pulverizer strikes on Gigabyte. You can get some damage points with that from the arena hazards. That would be a big factor here. For Gigabyte, though, you just gotta keep hitting and hitting and hitting. And John Mladnick knows that. That's the strategy for any Gigabyte fight. Keep hitting, keep swinging, and hope that full body spinner doesn't die. And I don't think it will. I think just, like I was saying, it's going to come down to control and aggression. I think Tantrum's going to take that here. But if that weapon goes out less than halfway into the fight, who knows what's going to go down here. And that's 9 predicted fights up and 9 predicted fights down. We've officially completely predicted the round of 32 here. And, you know, like we said, there's some real robots that are going to stand out in this bracket. You know, whoever ends up winning Tantrum versus Gigabyte, or, you know, whoever ends up coming out Cobalt and Whiplash's little area right there, the winner of Mad Catter and Black Dragon, and of course, you know, the likely Hydra or Ribbot winner of that little trio right there, whoever's going to come out of that number 2, number 31 spot. A lot of really good potential competitors in this bracket that could go all the way here. And that's really what it's all about in playoff robot combat. This is the biggest tournament we've ever seen, and it's been hyped so far. I'm sure the hype will live up here in the second half of the first round. I can't wait. Only one more day until we get to those fights as we start wrapping it up here. I am Sterling Brown. You can find me on Instagram at SterlingTXTG and in future projects this year. And for the rest of the crew, of course, you can find MisterRedman at his website, www.joshuagunnet.com. You can find PoryNog on his YouTube channel, www.dippyegg.xyz, or on his Instagram page at PoryNog. And you can find Freeze right here at the Combot Collective. He keeps it simple. That is the predictions done. We'll see you for more predictions as we predict the top 16 next week. Who knows what we'll be talking about then. That's going to be a crazy set of fights. But we are out of here. We're getting close to finding out we're Battlebots champion, and who knows who it will be, but it's going to be a damn good robot, and it's going to be damn good fights. Can't wait, and we will see you next time.
This was the Combot Collective. Find us on Instagram and Discord.